Hey everybody, it is Romania Black, and if you can believe it, we're on the season finale of season 6 of Natsume's Book of Friends. Wild, wild times. Now, after the season finale this week, we have 2 OVAs to watch, and then we're going to be diving into the content after that as we get closer to season 7, which is the last season before we're caught up, which is insane to me. But yeah, so before we get to that, though, we have volume 16 to talk about, and we also have some comments to talk about before we dive into a two-parter. We are doing episodes 10 and 11, the season 6 finale together, and I'm really excited about it. So, as far as the comments go, I have 2 comments from Maximo Bravo 4030. One was from episode 6, and one is from episode 7 of season 6. They said, by the way, the scene of the boys riding on the bikes together in episode 6 of this season is a direct reference to season 1, episode 6, The Swallow at the Lake Bottom. Same clothes, same location in the background, and the positions on the bicycle with Natsume riding with Nishimura. Oh my god, I did not even clock that it was the same scene from that episode. That is some 6 seasons later continuity that just, again, Natsume's Book of Friends, it didn't have to call it out. It doesn't even reference it. It just puts it out there for you and you pick it up as the audience. That is just so awesome. I love that. So thank you, Maximo Bravo, for pointing that out. They also said in episode 7, now you know where Natsume inherited the Riz to pull up that many boyfriends from Miss I Stole a Bride Once Reiko. Here's the thing. Reiko was pretty scandalous. Reiko seems like she wasn't afraid of nothing. And Natsume's like, yeah, I got some boyfriends. That's amazing. I agree and love that so much. That continuity thing just blows my mind. Sparata6232 for episode 7 says that throwing sticks seems to be Reiko's specialty. I don't remember which previous episode it was, but Hinoue also recalled a time where she threw a stick at a bird to recover her hairpin. Girl's got some accuracy. Yeah, I love that Reiko has her stick throwing, and it's like knife throwing, but with sticks, and then Natsume just punches the shit out of yokai. You do what you can, right? So that was a good comment. And then speaking of episode 7 of season 6, Sunspots says Reiko had a level of self-assuredness that I really enjoy. The quote, I want to see your arrogant faces in tears when I beat you. It's a little theatrical too. And at the same time, she is so certain of being unwanted. That's why I really love the scene under the tree. In the end, she's certain and accepting of the fact that her plan hasn't worked. And she essentially sleeps through the reveal of the connection she's made with all of these yokai. That was such a beautiful little illustration of how sometimes she experiences an inaccurate view of the relationships she has with others. That's something that's crazy, and what I love about Natsume in comparison is that Reiko did not feel like she had any relationships going on with people, so she didn't really she was so convinced that she was unloved and unwanted. But Natsume, what I love about him having the friends that he has, like Tanama and Taki and Nishimura and Kishimoto, is they verbally remind him and through their actions remind him that they do want him around. They are his friends. And I think that goes back to Natori, as we'll talk about in the manga here, Natori telling him, you need these people. Because if you don't have these reminders that you are wanted and loved, you might run away like Reiko, and that's not an existence that I think Reiko would want for him. So I think that's a really good point to bring up. So yeah. So with volume 16, I want to talk about volume 16. Volume 16 covers 2 episodes of season 5. It covers both episode 5 and episode 7 of season 5. So as of right now, the episodes that have not been covered for seasons 5 and season 6, the only episode that season 5 has not covered yet is episode 8. So maybe we'll get that in the next coming volumes. That's the one with Matoba and Natori, and I am damn sure that's not an anime only episode, so I'm sure we'll see that in a future volume. It'll probably be like a special or something, because it's a side story, a flashback, so we'll see. And then in season 6, we still have episodes 1 through 3, and then 7 through 11 to be covered. So far, the manga series that included season 5 content also covered season 6 episodes 4, 5, and 6. So I've been told that I can read volume 17 next week with the first OVA, and then I have to wait till after the OVAs to read up to volume 19. So we'll see that. Or volume 18. I'll check with the mods. But anyway, so the cover for volume 16 is super cute. It's Natsume holding this giant ass leaf. What I really like about it is Taki's hair looks longer in this volume cover, which is interesting. But I like that Taki and Tanama, who are the focal points of this volume, are with Natsume. And I also like that the color scheme, there's like the pop of green, but it's like the maroon and the golden colors. It aesthetically, color-wise, those are my type of colors. Like that color scheme, I like a muted green, a muted olive, and that red tone. Like I like that. That's really cool. This one of Reiko is probably the most scary cover we've had of Reiko. I wondered if it was her at her house, because she talks about not having a great home life. If she's like at her home, because it looks a little dilapidated, it looks a little scruffy around the edges, and she looks like she's not happy there. So I wondered if that was her at her house. I don't know. And then this cover is super cute. It's Natsume and Taki with the candle, and there's like little ghostly yokai in the corner, and then there's Madara. That's really super cute too. So what I really like about volume 16 is coming off of volume 15, where Natori has told Natsume that the Book of Friends is very dangerous, and also the circle technique that Taki uses is very dangerous. The volume 16 connects episodes 5 and 7, which go pretty well hand in hand with Taki and Tanama's experience with yokai, and Natsume trying to work through his thoughts about what to do about the yokai. And this is back in season 5. So I feel like in season 6, he's reflected a little bit more and come to more conclusions. But back in season 5, he was still like questioning, like, okay, if the Book of Friends is a problem, what do I do? So he recalls Natori's words and saying that some spells would let you hold their lives in your hands, which is, you know, about the Book of Friends. I also like this little drawing of Madara where it says Takashi's winter clothes. He's just sitting in the box, as a cat would. But I really liked this little scene. I don't recall this being in the anime, but it might have been, and I just forgot about it. But it was him like knocking Natori off with the paper, and Natori's like, "You're letting that exorcist kid get under your skin." And he's like, "Shut up, sensei." And he says, "The only thing my grandmother left me is forbidden and considered cruel." Which, maybe I talked about this in the anime for episode 5. Maybe I talked about it, but it didn't click completely until this chapter in this volume that the Book of Friends for Natsume is from his grandmother, just like the circle that Taki uses is from her grandfather. And I'm sure I talked about it, but the manga has a really good way of connecting those two storylines together with both of them. Right? And he's like, of course this is bothering me. And so that's when we see the writing on the board, which is the writing that's from the yokai trying to leave a message for Taki. And then I like that Taki's like talking about the circle from her grandfather, and Natsume's trying to figure out like how to tell her. And then the whole yokai thing comes up, and Natsume's like, she used the spell circle, and she's like, this could cause problems for Taki down the road, right? And so, but then, she talks about using the circle to meet the yokai. And on this page, Natsume's like, oh, the spell circle could be used to help someone. So then he says, Taki still has faith that an exchange with those who are different from us isn't always a cause for terror. And it's true. I like the idea that it crosses Natsume's mind that even though both Taki's circle from her grandfather and the Book of Friends from his grandmother are forbidden items for exorcists, that doesn't mean that they're dangerous in a way that they can't cause any good. They can be used to help others. It's just in the right hands. How does that work? And so then Natsume talks about how the use of forbidden spells should be punished. Maybe I should let her know that the circle is forbidden among exorcists. It can make yokai visible to regular people, but it's a dangerous spell that suddenly closes the gap for people who have nothing to do with the world of spirits and can lead to frightening encounters. I think that, again, we've had this concept of Natori contemplating whether to take the Book of Friends from Natsume, but it's really like, I don't think the circle or the Book of Friends belong to people outside of Taki and Natsume, because both of them, Taki has a reverence to that circle and its connection to her grandfather, so she's not going to abuse its power. And the same thing applies to Natsume in the Book of Friends. So I feel like it in the hands of anyone else could be dangerous, but they are literally the perfect people for it. So we'll see if this season or next season we get any resolution with that, but I don't know. So then Natsume's like, could I stand to tell her? She smiles, thinking about her grandfather's precious treasure. But it's actually something dangerous. And it's one more thing for me to worry about. Which, that thing about Natsume worrying about Taki kind of translates to Natori worrying about Natsume. Whereas Natsume's like, oh, I don't know. That circle's really dangerous. I don't know if Taki can handle it, and it might cause her some harm and she could hurt herself. The same thing is what Natori is thinking of Natsume in that book. He's like, this book could be dangerous and Natsume could get hurt with it, so maybe I should take it away from him. It's the same thing. But Natsume ends up letting her keep the spell. They just tell her, that it's dangerous. And she's like, okay. And I don't know if that's going to be what Natori does. If he tells Natsume, like, hey, this is a dangerous item. And Natsume's like, I know. But I don't know how that's going to go, right? So then we get Nyanko Sensei turning into Reiko. And Nyanko Sensei is like, I really don't want her to glomp me. Which I do love Taki's like, oh, is she your friend? She's really pretty. And I love Natsume's like, brace yourself, Taki. It's Madara. It's so cute. I love it. So then as Natsume is about to talk about the circle, that's when Nyanko Sensei ends up being the bad guy and saying, here's some advice. Your circle's one of those forbidden spells. It could be a problem if you were discovered using it. So stop. Don't talk to people about it. It's pretty useless anyway. You should just get rid of it. And it'd be best to destroy it to avoid it in the future. And Natsume gets mad at him, but she's kind of like, oh, it's forbidden. Like, Madara doesn't tell her she has to destroy it. He just says it would be better if you did, but he just puts that option out there. And I love that Madara offered to be the bad guy in the situation because he knew how much it was plaguing Natsume to be the one to tell her that. And Madara's like, I'm not friends with her, so I'll be the bad guy and I'll say it and you can still keep your friendship intact. There's not a lot of editor's notes in this volume because it's pretty much just the episode with Taki and the episode with Tanuma. But editor's note number 1 says, hello, I'm Midori Kawa, and this is the 16th volume of Natsume's Book of Friends. The years went by so fast working on it. I still feel like I'm not used to it, and I get anxious and nervous, but I enjoy it a lot. I appreciate being able to draw manga, and that there are readers who will read my work. Okay. And so then we get the little mouse yokai, the bunny yokai rather, that looks like a mouse that's inside the House of Takis. And one thing that stuck out to me was just like in the anime, I love the dialect that the rabbit yokai used, but just like in the anime, he's like, as you can see, I'm a traveling rabbit. I was like, oh, he said, as you can see. It's just those little phrases are so cute. And he's like, ignorant fool, you can tell us by our tails. Like, I just loved the dialect and the language that the yokai used. It was so cute. So the yokai brings up the idea of, who would want to stay here close to a human for so long. Good for nothing humans who use spells. And Natsume's in this very precarious situation where he is caught between the yokai and the humans, and he gets to see on both ends how there's humans being prejudiced as exorcists towards the yokai, and there's yokai prejudice towards humans. So Natsume sees the duality and how both sides kind of view each other very similarly, but how both sides also can come to love each other. Like we've seen throughout this series so far, we've seen a yokai fall in love with a human. We've seen humans fall in love with yokai. We've kind of seen the whole spectrum there, right? We've seen yokai in love with yokais. We've not seen exorcists in love with exorcists, unless you consider Matoba and Natori. But yeah, maybe we'll see Reiko and her lover at some point. Who knows? But yeah. And so again, Taki talks about the plum blossom, saying that he left me a reminder of our last meeting. It's too bad that flowers don't last very long. And again, the idea of there's only a limited amount of time for these humans and yokai to interact. And what do we do with that time? How do we make it count? And that's when Natsume decides to help Taki to get the yokai out of her house. So editorial number 2, I think this might be actually the last editorial. There weren't a lot in this manga. It said, since it's our 10th anniversary, the magazine Lala offered mailing gifts like adorable figurines and a new DVD from the anime Natsume's Book of Friends. And they planned events like a stage reading by the voice actors and a gallery of my art. If you only read the graphic novels, please check out the Lala and Haku Shinsha websites for details. Which is kind of cool. I love a good giveaway, y'all know. But yeah, and so then the two bunny yokais get reunited, and they're like, I won't hate humans, but I'll stay away. I never want to endanger my friend again. And that moment there to me connected to Natsume for the rest of season 5 and into season 6. Like, he doesn't hate the yokai, and he doesn't hate the exorcists, but he kind of wants to stay a distance from both because he doesn't want to endanger his friends. And it's like he was inspired in this moment from this encounter, right? And so then, I felt bad for Natsume because he's like, he wishes other people could see the yokai, and he's like, why am I always the only one? And he's not the only one that can see yokai. We get that in season 6, but I feel bad for him because he wishes that Taki and Tanuma could see them too. And so Taki says, even if the spell circle can be dangerous, it's still one of my treasures. And that's exactly how Natsume feels about the Book of Friends. So what do we do with that, y'all? What do we do with that? So then the other part of this volume was episode 7, which is the Tanuma and Natsume. They go to the retreat and the old lady is the yokai. So it's that episode, which was really good. I liked the manga version of this. I also liked the idea of when Tanuma's dad leaves, there's like a little yokai looking thing on his shoulder, and Natsume's like, what is that? And he's like, don't stare. It's a kami protecting the priest. And he's like, that string? And he says, that was the outline. It's impressive he's favored by such a being. And he's like, wow, that powerful, if only Tanuma was protected too. And then Madara says, such noble beings are fickle. They don't care about kin. He's like, be glad it's not jealous of his son, at least. So the dad is protected by like a kami spirit, which is kind of cool, and explains why none of the yokai attack him. But I like Madara's like, you don't just get, they don't care about nepotism. So unfortunately, Tanuma is not protected. So in any case, I like that Natsume and them go to hang out at the inn. One of my favorite parts was Shigeru in this panel where he's like, sure, don't party too hard with your friends. Shigeru's like, don't get too wasty. You guys are in high school. I was like, Shigeru, what do you think they're going to do? Well, partying hard. They're high school students. He's like, back in my day. Shigeru's like smoking all the blunts. In high school? No, probably not. I really liked this panel of Madara where he says, I hear there are many yokai in the Tetorizaka area. You might regret it later if you leave me behind. And I love Natsume's face, like, because Madara wanted to come too, because he just wanted to have sake and go to the hot springs. And Natsume was like, no, we can't impose and bring you. And he's like, but you could be in danger. And I love Natsume's face. He's like, fine. I do like this part here where Natsume's like, I felt excited and scared. I can't help seeing yokai wherever I go. I don't want to hold myself up and lose what I have. But then there's Natori's saying of, you need these people. So I really like this because even though Natsume is afraid that he's going to see yokai, that something bad might happen, in the same breath, he also knows that he should go hang out with friends and have a normal life, what Reiko didn't have, and that he needs to live life. He just doesn't need to be holed up and running away all the time. So I like that he makes that choice to go with them and also let Tanuma know what's happening. As this manga goes on, the mangaka gets a little bit more bolder in what they're doing, and it's super cute. Like, it shows them looking at the haunted hotels and all this, but then I like when they have the pillow fight and there's like a little tag that says, cliche. Like, that was really cute. That was like nice fourth wall breaking humor, but I like the mangaka's like, I know, a pillow fight between these 4 boys seems super cliche, but I wanted to draw it. Like, it was super cute. And then I'm sorry, Book of Boyfriends, but you give us this cover of Natsume and Tanuma looking up at the moon. The moon sure is beautiful tonight. You give us that for chapter 67? Okay. I see how it is. I'm like, that is a Book of Boyfriends moment indeed. And then I loved this moment because in the anime, I think in the anime when Natsume wakes up after encountering their yokai at the festival and everything, I think, or not at the festival, but when Natsume confronts them in the house, he wakes up and there's just Tanuma there. I think that's how it was. Here, all of them are beside him when he wakes up, including Madara. Like the first thing he sees is Madara and then he sees all the friends. So I thought that was really good. But I really liked this moment in the manga where they go to the festival and Natsume sees the woman and Tanuma is like, it never occurred to me to think that maybe she was a yokai. But after I met you, I'd look back and wonder if maybe she was something else. So now that I have friends like you, I wanted to show off. And there's this brief moment where Natsume's heart races and he's like, he used me to find out. And there's a brief moment where Natsume feels used and starts to get mad and you can see his fist clenched like, my friend used me. But then Tanuma's like, I wanted to show off that you were cool and that you could see the yokai. And that changes the meaning a little bit, right? I wanted to show her I'm doing all right now. So thank you. And that changes what Natsume thought was happening in the moment and changes his entire mood about it. It's like, okay, he wasn't being used. He was just, Tanuma's like, I want the yokai to know that I'm okay. And you were able to help convey that. I love Madara's reaction too, being like, oh, you were getting mad, Natsume, but there was no reason for you to get mad, as you can see. I thought that was super cute. Now, there is a bonus chapter that I saw in this that involves these 3 little bird yokai that they kind of look like the birds that I've seen in Delicious in Dungeon. If you've watched that series with me. And I was like, what? I don't remember this being in the anime. I don't remember this at all. Maybe it's going to be in the OVAs coming up and it was just tacked on at the end. Maybe, and I just have seen it ahead of time now. I don't know, but I don't recall this at all. So maybe it's going to be in the future. I didn't read this extra too much because I was like, I wonder if this is something that's going to be in an OVA in the future. So I didn't really read it. I just know there's Natsume in a coffin at one point getting kidnapped, but we'll see. But I did like the designs of the 3 birds. I thought it was sweet. And then we have here Taki putting the blanket over Natsume as he's like sat on Madara. Madara's like hitting his legs. It's super cute. So the afterword. Thank you for reading. Natsume's attention used to be taken up by whatever came his way. But now that he's settled in a bit, he's beginning to really see the people who are close by. He's going to have to think about how the difference between doing what he can for the transient beings and for someone who's always going to be by his side. Please read the rest of the afterword only after reading this entire volume to avoid spoilers. I love that. I love the idea that he's going to have to think of, when I'm helping the people that are like coming into my life randomly episode to episode, how is that different than helping the people that I see every day? And there is a difference with that. I don't know. I like Taki and Natsume. I ship Tanuma and Natsume more. But if Natsume ended up with Taki, I wouldn't be sad. I think that there's stuff there for them to make them a couple. But I like Tanuma and Natsume better, of course. So chapters 64 and 65 were called Do Not Get Involved. I hadn't drawn Taki in a while, so it was a lot of fun. She's a very important character to me, so I keep holding her back until I can use her carefully. Ooh. When I draw girls, I want to feature their expressions or words, even if I have to pause the rhythm of the story. I'm weirdly conflicted that it might make her upstage Natsume, the main character who's a little bit dense. That's the difficulty and fun about drawing Taki too. Since Natsume has been mostly involved with yokai whose gender isn't very important, he's been desensitized a bit. I hope this was an episode that reminded him that love is a bit more delicate. Yeah, because at one point when the yokai reveals that he's kind of in love with Taki, and Natsume's like, the yokai doesn't know how to express the feeling that he's had or what it is, and Natsume kind of realizes as he's reading the board that the yokai was in love, it does feel like he's like, oh yes, if you love something like a romantic love, it is a bit more delicate than just like a friendship. And I like that it's represented by the tiny bird on his finger. That's really cute. So, chapter 66 and 67, The Far Off Festival Lights. Natsume and Tanama both want to spend time together simply as normal friends, but the difference in their ability to see is unavoidable. Natsume shared his secret with Tanama, but Nishimura and Kitamoto still don't know. Tanama sees that he can't have that relaxed relationship anymore that they can have with Natsume. And Natsume, seeing Tanama turn pale with every little occurrence, is probably less inclined to even tell the others. I wanted to see what would happen if they were all hanging out together. I was also happy to finally include the story about Tanama and Mrs. Ito, but I wish I could have made it longer. Yeah, I kind of like that, Natsume sees how Tanama reacts to all of the yokai incidents, and that makes him not want to tell Nishimura and Kitamoto. We, as the audience who have watched season 6, though, kind of know that, they kind of already know. And even if reading the past volumes, we know that they kind of have an inkling about it as well. So, special episode 14 was Out of Season Blossoms. It says, since the main episodes were about Natsume making secrets, I wanted to include a lighter-hearted episode. The 3 yokai were more beast-like at first, but I didn't like them, so it became much easier when I turned them into finger puppet-like birds. I debated for a long time whether I should use the pages I had for this episode for the previous one instead. I don't know. I didn't try to read it too closely, but it was pretty good. I may go back after the OVAs. If neither of the OVAs are about those little bird yokai, I may go back and reread it for myself, but it seemed like an okay bonus episode. Last volume, last volume, this one was published during my 10th anniversary year of working on Natsume's Book of Friends, so a variety of projects were planned. It was a full year of happiness and gratitude, and I almost felt like I didn't deserve everything that everyone did for me. I know it's cliche, but I'll pull myself together and work hard to deliver books that my readers can enjoy. Thank you so much for following me through all these years and 16 volumes. I'll work hard so you'll keep reading. Thank you. I love that, God, it's so crazy to think it's been 10 years since this volume. That's so wild to me. So wild. I mean, volume 16 of Natsume, that one came out in 2013 in the Japanese release date, 12 years ago. So she's been working on Natsume's Book of Friends for 22 years. That's insane. That's insane, y'all. 22 years. That is wild. Wow. So yeah. So we'll see volume 17 next week, and if maybe the rest of season 5 is covered in that one and anything from season 6. So we'll see. We'll see about that. But anyway, thank you for indulging me as I go through the volume. I love reading the manga. It's so good. But yeah, we got a 2-parter to talk about, y'all. Okay, so before we start, I want to give a special shout out over to Sunspots, because last week the internet was not working great, and so Sunspots was able to get me episode 9, and so I went ahead and was like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but at the time I was like, do you care to go ahead and get me episodes 10 and 11 just in case? And they did, so I feel like I should just watch the versions they gave me. So we're gonna watch the files for episode 10 and episode 11, which will be exciting because it'll at least have the lyrics for the OP and the ED on the end. What I'm probably gonna do is we're probably going to watch episode 9, or episode 10 rather. We're going to watch episode 10, and then if there's nothing that needs pertinent discussion right away, we'll just dive straight into episode 11, and then we'll go back and talk about both of them together. Or if I'm like, no, we need to stop and talk about episode 10, we'll stop and do that and then go to episode 11, and I'll cobble the reaction together. Y'all know how this goes. But in any case, I want to thank you all so much. I can't believe we're on the season finale. It's a 2-parter, so that's so exciting to me. And I guess we'll just have to see what we get. But what a great way to round out the month. So without further ado, we are not going to waste any more time. We are going to dive right into episodes 10 and 11 of season 6 of Natsume's Book of Friends. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. I can't believe we're already to the end of the season. I really liked this OP, and I liked this ED too. I like the OP and ED, I think. Okay, the ED for season 5 is amazing, But I liked this OP. This is one of my favorite OPs. I was like, I hate that it's over already. Hopefully, though, it will. The OVAs for the next 2 weeks after this are going to be they were in this season on Crunchyroll, so I bet that they will have the OP and ED for this. So there's that at least. Right? Crazy. Crazy. I know that there's a movie coming up, and if there is a movie, I probably will not do a volume reaction or review with the movie because I don't want to do all of that. And I'll just carry it over to whenever, but we'll see. We'll see. All right. The two little dandelion pieces of Natsume Madara, you know. Man, get that typical yokai look. Is it Natori or is it Matoba? Ah, yeah! Hey, Natori. Hi, ladies. Oh, with the bucket hat! Oh. Okay. And we're just sealing him, you know. Could be worse. Oh. 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 Oh no. Oh. Well, wait a minute. Oh no. No. They know better than to say anything about it. They know better. The sealed room. So Notori's trying to figure out about the Book of Friends. Well, that's not good. Oh, shit. You didn't have a choice? Really, Natsume? Oh, and she knows him. Uh-huh. I guess. Oh, he's a little bit. Look at the bisexual hydrangeas right behind him! Oh my god. Oh no, and Toko's like, oh, we gotta get him food. She's like, oh no. Ha! Sugar's like, what a bachelor pad. Yes, she did. Uh-huh. Oh my god. Wow. Ah. It sounds kind of shady. That's a good way of saying it, Madara. Well, he's trying to find out without your consent, so, you know. I bet he seems like the kind of guy that would like sweet things. I feel like he is. I feel like Matoba likes spicy things, and they're opposites, so. He doesn't have the glasses on. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't have any male friends. Do you have any friends? Do you have any friends, sir? Oh my god, every woman there. And the one guy! Madara's like, oh my god. Natsume's around a lot of flamboyant characters, you know. Oh. And he put the glasses on. A friend. Who they say you're with sometimes. Are there rumors? Yeah, who's they? Ooh. Oh. Ooh, okay. Huh. Yeah, what are we talking about exactly? I like this guy's mole. You gonna go raid a dead man's house? Ah. What about his family? Does he not have... Madara's like, yeah. Seems everybody's getting bribed into this. There's a lot of desperation going on. Frame it as that, yeah. I mean, Natori's like, is that true? Because you don't like exorcists. Natsume doesn't like exorcists, but he's trying to find out more about the Book of Friends. Aww! I mean, Madara doesn't seem too worried. Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. He could learn about his grandmother, maybe. Ooh, I like this setting already. Oh, this is cool. Okay. It's interesting we're getting to meet more and more exorcists. Oh, and there's a whole group of them. Okay, oh, they're with their familiars. Wow, all alone in that giant house. I mean, most exorcists and researchers are strange and unusual and have few friends. Y'all are raiding a dead man's house. It's like a real estate sale. He's like, oh, who, me? Oh, the granddaughter. It's funny how these people who are strange and live alone but have grandchildren somehow. She almost looks like a yokai. It's like freaking Willy Wonka. Oh. Interesting. A secret room. Or this episode's called The Sealed Room, so... Okay. Okay. And we want to get rid of yokai. Okay, because it might have some stuff that could attract yokai. Okay. Interesting. All of you famous exorcists. Right, exactly. They're a little greedy, aren't they? He could say about Reiko. Oof. Oh. He wants to look that up. But what if the lizard's actually like a good luck charm? This feels very Willy Wonka. I mean, it's the granddaughter of this man you called strange too. So get more people there. Yeah. Yeah, it is very sad. Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's a big... Ooh. I mean, that's the reason for him to have the Book of Friends and not you, so... What is this Snuffleupagus thing? Me and my calico cat are gonna search the Western Annex. Bye! Oh. Okay. Matoba's people are there. Interesting. They did not say that before, so of course. Do we think Matoba might show up? Interesting. Okay. Yeah, this place is crazy big. All these greedy exorcists just wanting to become famous and get power. Oh. Oh. Does it? Oh my god. That homework stuff. Oh my god. Infuriating. You don't need to compare it. Okay. Oh, that's why it feels that way. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe that's why it's so huge. Is it going to sense Reiko? Uh-huh. Oh, good. He didn't ask about the Book of Friends. So... Oh, shit. Oh, shit. And he's kind. That's true. Ooh, but it's so dangerous though. Shit. 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 Who else is knowing about this? Oh. Uh-huh. I knew that voice. Nana say. Yeah, no joke. Huh. Shit. She looks like she'd be in Psycho-Pass, honestly. I would approve of that. Also, she's pretty tall for an older woman, by the way. I mean, I wouldn't join your clan. What if it's at the bottom of the lake? Oh, they're just out here buying all this real estate. Efficient. Uh-huh. God. Remember this is just a simple series? Well, bitch, you have. Leave him alone. He's a child. Natsume's just a boy. Leave him alone. Well, I have a feeling that's not going to be able to happen. Oh. Oh. Hmm. Ooh. Interesting. Wow. Ah. Hmm. Oh. Hmm. Wow. Hmm. Interesting. Oh, I love he grabbed Madara there. Like you could see the animation. Hmm. Right, he's used to seeing some of the opposite. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yes, good. Probably. Oh. Hmm. Oh, are you splitting up? No, I don't like that idea. Ah! I don't know if you should split up though, but that was super cute. No! That one looked like a yam. Yes. Right. So I wonder if he meant to leave them for the kids. Oh. Yes. I would love that. Yes, please. Oh, shit. Is it? Shit. Shit. Crap. Oh my god. But you can't use it, only he can. Only Natsume can use it because he's Reiko's grandson. Fudge muffin. Crap. Does he know? Oh my god. Yeah. Ah! Okay, okay. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god. Oh. 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 I mean, he knows about it. Okay. Okay, good. Good. Oh man, no, we gotta go right to the next one. We can't wait. We're not gonna talk about this. We're gonna go straight to the next one. All right. Y'all, I mean, give me just a second. Oh my god. All right, I'm gonna start back over and get this ready because y'all, we can't go to discuss this until we start the next one. So yeah, we're gonna start Natsume's Book of Friends, episode 11 now here in 3, 2, 1. Oh y'all, we couldn't, but I'm gonna skip past the OP. Okay, well no, we'll just let it go. We'll just let it go. Oh man, no, we have to go that. So Natori found out. He was gonna find out anyway, but eventually. So I like the fact that Natsume's like, no, let me tell you about it. But after all this is over. And Natori, being an exorcist, probably wants to know secrets. So if Matoba's clan or any of them are there, Natori will probably help protect Natsume. But oh my god, it's the season finale. Oh my god! And Natsume's gonna tell him about the Book of Friends. Shit. Okay. Here's the thing, though, that I just talked about, and it hit me in somebody's comment. Natsume is the only one that can use the Book of Friends because he's Reiko's blood relative. So even if Madara gets a hold of it, you can't put any other names in the Book of Friends. Natsume can let them go, but only Natsume can put more in. So I guess it's really somebody just getting a hold of the book and being able to use the names that are in there. But still, they can't summon, right? So, oh my god. Ah! I want this to go down. I want this to go down. I want to see Natsume telling him about the Book of Friends. Oh, of course, yes. Yes. Mm. Uh-huh. And you're just a yokai. Ah, damn Natori! Yeah. Yeah, he did. What matters? Ooh, yes. So. I love the subtle animation in this. Hmm. Okay. Okay. I like Hiragi and Madara, like, well, it was going to happen anyway. We all knew it. Families or familiars? Or both? They're just ransacking this place. Like, this is a dead man's house. It's really sad. Oh my god. Like, they're just tearing up everything. And they're all just doing it to be famous. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. A weirdo spell researcher. Oh my god, what is this? Why is it Full Metal Alchemist there? What? What? Why is... With Cell? Oh my god, the Dragon Ball Z and Full Metal Alchemist reference. Great. Oh, him. He was at the mansion. Nutmeg! Nutmeg! Ah! Nutmeg. Oh, is that a ship name? Most likely. Right. It's very empty. Nutmeg. It's his pet name now. What's wrong, Nutmeg? Bitch. It's not random. Right, a photo or a diary. Oh. The maple tree. Yes, the maple tree. So maybe it's by there. If it were me, I'd put it by the maple tree. Or a room where I could see it. Okay, cool. Let's go. All right. It'd be interesting if it was buried by the maple tree. Or under the rock, maybe? Oh. Cute. Oh. I like this music. Huh. Oh. Maybe they weren't searching for the right thing. Oh. I love that Natsume is like damn Charlie from the Chocolate Factory. Oh, wow. Oh. Uh-huh. Yeah, he looks like an exorcist. Because Natsume is strong, he can see them better. Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. You know that now I'm going to refer to Nutmeg as being a pet name. He looks like Urahara from Bleach there. Oh. Ah. Like if his wife passed and he was all alone. Hmm. Right. Yes. Yes. That. Look at you. Look at you being practical. Hmm. Uh. Ah! Sounds very steak. Hmm. Oh. Ooh. Oh, bitch, yes. And it's a dragon. Yeah. Oh, come on, let's go. Oh, ooh. Oh. Okay, good. I was like the Book of Friends. Oh. But if he's died, shouldn't they be freed from their contract? He's literally Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Well, I don't actually know him, but jump roping Madara. Okay. But now what? Yeah, he's like, you're an exorcist. Ah. Hmm. He's like Natsume. Kind of. Oh. I mean, he sounds like if Madara was a human. Oh. For us. Hmm. Oh. He was waiting for someone to visit him. Oh. Oh. Okay. Oh, damn. Natsume. Aw. Natsume's like, yeah. There are good and bad things inside. Oh. Oh. Mmm. Wow. Oh. The front entrance. You heard him. Nope. Ah. Oh my god. Oh my god. Does he know his grandpa? Oh my god. I am the front entrance, the rear entrance. Oh. So did he know Natsume's grandpa? Oh. Oh my god. Oh my god. The exorcists are awful. They're awful. Yeah, it's a blue fire. What's burning is what's inside. Wow, they took it with them like they said they would. Double dragon, bitches. I like that Natsume's happy about it. He's like, good. She went up looking really pissed. What a shame. Stick behind with Natsume. All right. Oh, they all like whoop. Okay. Okay. I kind of love that he also does the paper dolls, so this kind of fits that. And that was their gift. Yep, that was their gift. Shut up. Friendship is magic. Shut up. Now is he going to tell him? Against the blue flames. I like that we had that with Owie like an episode or two ago. Oh. Oh. About my grandmother and the Book of Friends. And I was the only one who can return the names. Yes. I love Madara being like, Okay. Oh. With Madara. Oh. Uh-huh. Oh. Wow, we're really like recapping a lot of the seasons here. This feels like I can't believe we have another season after this, but yeah. Oh. Wow, Natsume's hair's grown out a lot since the earlier seasons. Oh. What a great recap. I love that. This feels like such a turning point of him telling Natori. Oh. Oof. I wish you could talk more to the... Yeah, there we go. Good. Good. Well, I don't know. Exactly. Yeah, the guy. Right. A man who looked like you. Is his dad or his grandpa? Probably your grandfather, yeah. Well. Aww. Madara, why are you interrupting his thoughts? Ugh. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, well, about that. Yeah. Yeah, sure. Ah! Hmm. But. Oh. Probably with your grandfather, at least. Ah! Ooh. Okay. Oh, nice. And him exchanging smiles with everybody in that he knows. This is my favorite season finale. This is my favorite season finale so far. This is so good. Uh oh shit. He's like, crap. Hmm. Aw, and him meeting with Taki and Tanama. Ah. Now, if you burn the Book of Friends, though, wouldn't Madara burn up too? Because isn't his name in it? Ah! Aww. Aww. Oh my gosh. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. I say it every season, but I'm not joking when I say this is my favorite season finale. Ooh. Mm. Oh my God. I just look, y'all, you guys have to bear with me, but any episode involving Natori, I am sat for. I am here. I am locked in. I am ready to go. Anything involving Natori, I am just instantly drawn to because Natori's character is so engaging. He's so interesting. He plays off of Natsume so well because he is kind of what I like about Natori's character. And we can make comparisons to him and Natsume all day, but they are not the same people. They are not the same people. And I love that you have these two blonde men who are, you know, yokai sensitive, but they are not the same people. And Natori like wants to be a good person. And he tries his hardest to do what he thinks is right. But Natori has some jaded elements too, and they come out in this episode set where he gets a little greedy like the other exorcists, and he says things that are not. Natsume's a damn patron saint out here, being freaking Charlie from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, winning the golden ticket. And Natori would like to think that he's Charlie, but he's not. And there's so much that's being set up for future seasons that I'm so excited by. I'm like, okay. All right, yes, okie dokie, here we go. I'm floored. Oh, I'm floored. I love this. I'm not ready to be almost caught up with Natsume. Someone asked if I would react to the manga after the anime. I can't do it, y'all. I like the manga a lot. I love reviewing it with you all, but the manga style of the mangaka, and I'm not saying anything bad about the mangaka style, but I just feel for me reacting to, I feel like the anime is so much better. I react much better to the anime. I think the anime is an amazing adaptation. And I want to react to the anime. And I know it took a long time between season 6 and season 7. There was a movie in between there, I believe. But I know that it's going to take a long time before season 8 comes out. But 8's my lucky number, y'all. 8's my lucky number. So I got to wait for season 8. I have to. I just have to. Ugh. It's so hard. Maybe they were waiting, maybe they were waiting so long in between seasons because they needed to wait for enough material to adapt into an anime. Maybe that was it. And maybe that means season 8 will come quicker. I don't know. I've got to wait for the anime. So I'm really sad that I'm almost caught up. It's breaking my heart as we speak. But yeah. So let's talk about these episodes. Episode 10 starts out with Natori. Luckily, Natori is not doing what the Matoba clan would do necessarily and either enslaves the yokai or exorcises them. He just puts them in the little bottle and he's basically Christina Aguilera's them into a bottle and seals them away. So, Natori's been trying to figure out what this Book of Friends is. And so he's been asking all the yokai about it, but the yokai are like, we ain't telling you shit, dude. So no, absolutely not. But he asks Haragi if she can find out about the Book of Friends, because he wants to know what exactly it is. So you have the sealed room and what matters. I loved this episode set. Oh, I just love it. Natori is my type of character that I'm instantly drawn to. And I love the angst. I love his flaws. I love like the cockiness, the peacock of it all. I love it. Him and Natsume have a pet name now of Nutmeg. Again, I love Natsume and Tanama, but Natsume, I need like adult Natsume and Natori to be in a relationship, unless they happen to be related in the end, and then it's like, no, absolutely not. But I'm so curious. So yeah. So he's like, you know, why do we have to go? And Madara's like, why do we have to go to that Natori brat? Like, to Madara, Natori is a kid. And so he's like, why do we have to go to that brat's place? And he's like, no, Toko wants us to take some jam to him. And I love that Madara goes, you know what your problem is? you set this up. You made this happen because you told Toko that Natori didn't have any food and that he had a little dingy, like lonely apartment. I love when he's talking about it. And of course, Toko's like, your friend Natori was on TV. You have a famous friend. And Shigeru's like, a famous friend? And Natsume's like, oh, well, yeah. He's like, he's famous, but I went to his condo. And he's like, you know, it's pretty big, but there wasn't much furniture. And there's a large fridge, but there was nothing inside. And so then he says, you know, apparently, I guess that's how it is for men who live alone. And I love that Toko's like, oh my, he doesn't have any food. And I love Shigeru's like, oh, the bachelor life. What fun times those were in your youth. I don't know. I honestly, down the road, I would read a fan fiction that's 800,000 words of an adult Natsume and Natori living together and having their like existential crises about yokai. Would read all day. But then on the other hand, there is a part of me that the reason why I like shipping Natsume with Tanama is because Tanama is not involved with the exorcists, and the exorcists are just, I felt like when the house was burning with the fake yokai fire, I felt like I was watching Princess Mononoke. And I was just like, why is humanity terrible? Like, I was having that moment of being like, why are the exorcists garbage? They just burst through with force. They don't use communication. They don't have empathetic, kind souls. They're just greedy. And I was like, oh, they deserve to have all of those things burned because of their greed and hubris. They deserved it. But that's why I don't like Natsume around them. So the thing is, if Natsume and Tanama, if you were to ship Natsume and Tanama together, it would work because Tanama doesn't seem like he's too kind-hearted to be with the exorcists. Natori's been jaded and corrupted a little bit by the exorcist world. And so I like the idea of Natsume kind of like healing Natori from that corruption. But then on the other hand, I wouldn't want Natsume in that world very long because I don't want Natsume to get corrupted as well. He's too pure, right? He's like, oh, that's what it's like when you're young, huh? And so Madara's like, she was probably worried after you said that, so that's why she sent you. And Natsume's like, well, I don't even know if Natori likes sweet things. Again, Natori has a soft spot for Natsume, and Madara knows it. And he's like, well, you're bringing the jam, aren't you? So he should know. He sounded happy, but the way he laughs is shady. Like, does he really mean it? And I'm glad that Madara says you need to be careful that Natori doesn't trick you. Because I think Madara knows what Natori wants to do. And Natori's like, well, we should probably burn that book so that it can't be used by anybody. And that would probably kill Madara as well. So let's not do that, actually. And that would get Mitsuru. We can't have that either. Or Hinoue. Like, let's not do that. Because, yeah, I feel like what it's setting up is that Natori is eventually going to recommend getting rid of the Book of Friends, and Natsume is going to be like, these are my friends. It's going to be literally a book of friends. And he's like, no, they're my friends. I can't let you do that. And that's going to be it. Because I think Natori originally wanted the Book of Friends to take it from Natsume so that he couldn't possess it, but now he knows Natsume is the only one that can use it. So he just wants to get rid of it. But I'm like, Natori, you may have had a good intention with that thought process, but I don't think that's going to be good. And I think Madara knows that. Madara's like, don't let him take that book. He'll get rid of it and we're all in danger. So that's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here. But I'm glad that he knows. I'm glad that by the end of it, I'm glad he knows about the book because he was going to find out eventually. And I'm glad Natsume was the one to tell him all about it. So Natori shows up without his glasses on, looking like a model, and every girl and this one random guy like watches him, and Natsume's like, come on. One thing that I also love about Natsume and Natori's relationship is that Natsume is very much a fly under the radar, I don't want anybody to know I'm here type of person, and Natori just garners all of this flamboyant attention, and it's like, yes, they're so opposites in that regard, but I kind of love it. He's like, what? You didn't need me to come find you? Like, these two are so ridiculous together, but I love episodes with them. It's great. It's embarrassing. Yeah, okay, so there's like one extra guy there, so it's not just him. I love it. He's like, you're just such a hurry, Natsume. So we get to meet this guy. We get to meet Aimiya. And Aimiya is an exorcist and immediately reminds me why I don't like the exorcists. Because they're all just like, it's literally Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, where he's like, oh, the owners left like all of these, like it's like a treasure map. We got to find the buried treasure in this former exorcist's mansion, right? And there was a level of disregard and disrespect by the exorcists that rubbed me the wrong way. Like, I know that Beniko, the granddaughter, I know she said she didn't want the house. They didn't want the house. They didn't like what it represented. They wanted to just sell it off and get rid of it. But I think even her, like throughout the episode set, when she watched them, like the exorcists were just raiding the place. Like they were spending no time or care to, delicately go through the belongings. Because if they had gone through the belongings delicately and put 2 cents of process in it, a high school boy figured it out, y'all. Not a saying them who've been in the exorcist business for how many decades couldn't figure it out, but a 16-year-old kid did. I mean, it just took a little empathy and a little common sense, and Natsume was able to figure it out. But because they were so greedy and hasty and just had no empathy for him as an exorcist or as a human, and about his familial connections and about the connections with the yokai that were his familiars, they missed the mark completely. And Natsume got it because he understands the bonds between humans and one another and with the yokai. Because he's a freaking patron saint. But yeah, Aimiya was interesting with his mole, but he like gets, Natori to go along being like, hey, the one guy died. He's like, oh, you're the oddly strong boy who's sometimes seen with him. Like Natsume has a reputation with the exorcist. And he's like, what? And he's like, who's they? With his help, maybe we can win. Hakozaki's residence. We could get our hands on the belongings of it. Now, again, Natori means well, and he's a nice guy, but he's an exorcist, and he's been corrupted by the exorcist culture, where he kind of gets in on the greed too. And it's so interesting to see. Now, Natsume's purpose behind wanting to check out the belongings is that he doesn't want to take anything for himself. He wants to see if there's anything in the mansion that will give him more information about Reiko, or if there's anything about the Book of Friends that might be given to information. He just kind of wants to know that, but he's not out to become famous or rich and powerful like these other exorcists are. He just wants to know some personal history, and he's like, this guy might know some things, so let's go find out. But he's not being greedy. He just is curious and wants to know if there's anything that can help him. So he's like, and Natsume's like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, well, he's a researcher who studied yokai and exorcist spells, so we want to try to like go see some of his papers he left behind. Every exorcist in Japan wants their hands on his paper. That's how much they're worth. And that's when Natsume's like, okay, maybe I could learn something about the Book of Friends. I love Madara throughout these 2 episodes because Madara is just looking at Natsume like, don't get caught up in this, right? And so he's like, well, if you could see yokai, the papers would be surely of use to you too, which is not why Natsume wants it. But Natsume says in this episode, he wants to find a way to get rid of the gecko on Natori so that Natori will feel better. I'm like, I feel like there's going to be an interesting parallel here between Natsume not wanting to give up the Book of Friends because it's connected to his identity and his heritage and his being. And I think that when it comes down to it, if Natsume asks Natori, I don't know if Natori wants to get rid of the gecko. I don't know. He may say that he does, but when it comes down to it, I feel like there's going to be an interesting parallel where Natsume is going to be like, no, the Book of Friends is part of me and my family and my lineage. And Natori's going to be like, well, the gecko's part of me and I don't want to get rid of it. I think you could do a lot with that. So I'm going to be curious to see, like, is there anything that could do that? So, and one thing I do like about Natori is that he does not want Natsume to get caught up with the exorcists, because Natori knows that he's corrupt, I think. I think Natori knows that there's a corrupt side to him, a jaded side to him. And I think Hiragi has noticed how Natsume has influenced Natori to be a better person. And so she's like, keep that kid around. Even though the others are like, get rid of him. She's like, no, he's good for us. I feel like Natori knows the exorcists are corrupt, and he doesn't want Natsume to get caught up in that world because he wants Natsume to live a normal life. But they all decide to go. And they kind of like travel out in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, I really want to know something about Reiko. Instead, we potentially learn something about his grandfather, which here's my theory. I think the grandfather was an exorcist. I think the grandfather was either an exorcist or was a friend of an exorcist or was a researcher kind of like this guy. And I think he might have known him and the familiars might have known him. Was Madara a familiar of Reiko's husband? Who knows? Who knows? They both like to go to the same place to get the same buns. I don't know. Seems suspicious. I think Madara might have been a familiar of Reiko's husband and might have stuck around with Reiko after he died or whatever and kind of watched over her or whatnot. I think so. And I think that her husband might have been an exorcist that maybe defected to be with her. I want to know more. That's so crazy because I don't think it's Natsume's dad. Natsume's dad seemed like he didn't really know much about the exorcist or yokai or anything. But the mom, you know, interesting. But yeah, I felt like this was really sad. I've talked with one of my friends. One of my friends likes to go to real estate sales. So when someone passes away, they usually have like a real estate sale to like, if the family doesn't want the items, they'll sell off the goods and the person gets commission for it. But it's weird. It's weird going through a dead person's house. I don't know. I had my great grandmother dated someone for a while, like when she was in her 80s, mind you, she dated this man and he passed away. And so my great grandma was like, well, do you want to go to his house and see if you want anything? And I was like, it just seemed like bad juju. I was like, I don't know about that. I didn't know this guy. So I was like, no. And there was an old man that lived next to our high school and he passed away. And like my brother's class got to go to like his house for a real estate sale and see if they wanted anything. And my brother like took home a trench coat from there. And I was like, why do you have this dead man's trench coat? And he was like, well, they were going to give it away. I was like, it creeped me out. I was like, no, I don't know. I get that the family doesn't want the materials in the house and they're okay with it, but just the level of disrespect that the exorcists show the house, it was just... And then come to find out, he had this big mansion, but the one yokai familiar, the dragon, says that he held parties for the yokai. So that reminded me a lot of Natsume, of just him hosting parties for the yokai to hang out, and he was there. I thought that there was a big connection to Natsume in this moment, right? So, Beniko, she actually looked familiar. She looked like a yokai that we've seen in the past, which is interesting. So, she's like, we don't know. She's like, my grandfather had a huge amount of research documents on yokai and magic. So, they're all in his study, but we can't find a study. We're going to sell the house. We don't want it anymore. So, we want you to just get out of it. We want to rid ourselves from the lives. We want to rid our lives of yokai. I thought there was a really interesting kind of meta discussion here with Natsume because the granddaughter is mad because she couldn't see yokai. And when her family would visit him, all he wanted to talk about was the yokai. And it seems that she and her family were kind of bitter because his life was consumed with yokai and he didn't involve them with them. The sad thing is there seems to be a huge miscommunication with their family because it seems like the way that the familiars talked that the old man did want to communicate with his family. He did want them to be a part of his lives, but him being able to see yokai drove them away. So I think the big difference though is that with Natsume, unlike Reiko, who distanced herself completely from yokai and humans, and unlike this man who seemed to distance himself from his family because he was so obsessed with the yokai, I think Natsume has been able to keep a really good balance of interacting with the yokai, but also keeping connections with humans. And I think it helps that Tanuma and Taki are in his life. I think that that's a godsend because I think that Taki and Tanuma, who have at one point in time, at least, been able to see yokai, understand where Natsume is coming from. And they get it. And so they're able to keep those bonds with him and those friendships because they understand what he's going through. I feel like that separates him from this man because this man's family they weren't able to connect at all. Whereas Natsume's family, like even Toko is known about the Ghost Crow. So even them, they've been able to connect. And Shigeru was open to being around Reiko. So I feel like Natsume is fortunate to have humans in his life that don't judge him and aren't bitter because he can see yokai. And he even talks about it. He's like, it's been a while since I've been around people who are mad because they can't see yokai. And that reminds him of his former family. So this woman is kind of like Natsume's former family that he was jostled around with that were mad that he could see yokai. So they say, may the best man win. And yeah, even Natori, he gets in on kind of this greed. They're like, we brought all these famous exorcists here. And he's like, this is amazing. And Aimiya's like, yep, you don't get a chance like this often. So, he gets kind of caught up in the greed of it too. And Notori's like, I don't want you really getting involved with the exorcists. So this is a rare opportunity, but I'm going to have you wear this mask so that, the Matoba clan doesn't know you're here. I thought Nanase or Matoba, I thought Matoba was going to be here. And I thought Nanase was going to see Natsume, but that did not happen, luckily. So good. But yeah. He's like, I also want to find a way to get rid of the lizard mark on Natori's body. I'm like, why do you care, Natsume? You're the only one that can see it. Nobody else can. But I think he wants Natori to feel comfortable. And he feels like if the lizard mark was gone. But is it a lizard mark or is it a yokai? It's a yokai, but what do we do with that? So I honestly thought that maybe the plans and all the stuff that was happening, I wondered if it was in the lake. I wondered, there was a rock by the maple tree, so I wondered if it was buried under the rock. I thought that maybe the maple tree, I was afraid they were going to cut the maple tree down in this episode in their haste to try to get it. So yeah, Natsume's like, I'm being sentimental, and he's like, it's better if the papers are in the hands of someone who will take care of them than someone who will use them for evil. We just need to find them first. I think by Natori's logic in this moment, he should let Natsume keep the Book of Friends, but I think he's worried the Book of Friends will cause Natsume trouble because Natsume is the only one that can use it. So people might try to kidnap Natsume to make him use the book. And he's like, we should just get rid of it. Also, Aimiya, can we talk about Aimiya's familiar? Aimiya's familiar looks like an elephant mixed with Snuffleupagus, but something that's super cute about it, other than its little earring made me think of Revolutionary Girl Utena, just a wee bit. But other than that, the elephant has a little mole above its eye, just like Aimiya. That's super cute. I like that. That's a fun time. He's like, me and my calico cat thing are going to go search the Western Annex. My calico cat thing. And Madara's little bean paws. Adorable. And so Natori's like, you need to put this mask on so that they don't think you're Natsume. That they'll just think you're familiar. Now, what's cool is when they go head off to look, you can see the episode shows us at the gates, there's a dragon statue. They were foreshadowing it from the start. That's so cool. Okay. And so then, yeah, they go through the annex and it's just this big place for all of these yokai to hang out. I love it. So Hiragi talks about how some of the familiars are not very smart and they were forced to become familiars, which we've talked about how there's like a little slave angle with some of the familiars. Not all of them, but some of them. And then a lot of the yokai here have nothing to do with this. They're just yokai hanging out in the mansion, which is nice foreshadowing for the man throwing all of the parties, right? But Madara's like, this place feels pleasant because it shows us there's not a lot of barriers. We're able to freely go in this environment and not have barriers like you normally have in an exorcist mansion or a place that's sealed off from the yokai. And I think that's a nice foreshadowing too of hinting that this guy liked having yokai around. So there's not a lot of barriers there at all. So then we have this one yokai come up and ask about the Book of Friends. But they say here, they're like, oh, because this one says, I think your smell, this presence, I think we met a long time ago. And Natsume's like, oh, it was probably my grandmother Reiko. She's passed away. And the yokai just turns around and leaves. But what if it wasn't Reiko? What if Reiko hadn't ever been here? What if it was his grandfather that was here in the mansion? Ooh! Ooh! Oh, this series! We're 6 seasons in, and this series drops a bomb like that about Natsume's grandfather, and are you kidding me, show? Are you joking? Oh! can't throw a bomb like that on us. That's insane. Okay. I love that Hiragi does the "that's rough, buddy." And Hiragi tries to pry for information about the Book of Friends, and Natsume's like, oh god. But Hiragi's like, that seems very rough. Is there something you possess? Like, gets the reporter microphone out. Is there something you possess that you want to tell us about? Like, just Hiragi's trying to do espionage work, and, you know, it doesn't work, but eventually Natori finds out, you know. And Hiragi brings up a good point. Hiragi's like, he does worry about other people, but if you don't tell him, it could cause him to worry as well. Hiragi basically says, without saying, she's like, yeah, you not telling Natori about the Book of Friends is trying to help him, but he may come to a worse conclusion than the truth if you don't tell him. So you might want to get on that. Yep. So yeah, anyway, they end up going around, and Natori runs into Nanase. Nanase looking like she belongs in Psycho-Pass. Girl, she's almost as tall as Natori. I forget how tall she is. But yeah, she's like, "Have you seen Natsume around?" And he's like, "Never heard of him." And she's like, "Well, you know, we could just buy this mansion and then go through and figure out where the door is." And Notori's like, "That seems a bit stingy and impractical." And she's like, "We call it efficient." Like, I remember back in seasons 1 through 3 when we were just solving little simple stories with the yokai, and now we're getting into this like political intrigue with the exorcists, and the fact that Matoba clan is just like buying out everything to get what they want. I honestly, though, I feel like it was such good karma that the 2 dragon yokai were like, screw them. If they try to open this door by force, we'll just burn it all, and then they'll get nothing. I loved it. Because if you think about it, the dragon yokai, the familiars, they were just sticking around out of obligation and out of, you know, respect to the master of the place. After the masters died, their contracts are technically over. So, I don't know. I loved it. I was like, yeah, that's what you get. But the whole thing, like, wouldn't it be worse to sell it to a normal person? They're like, well, wouldn't it be better if we have it? But here's the thing. In previous episodes, Natsume has noticed a lot of the Matoba clan, like, real estates that they've confiscated to look for things are just lying dormant and empty with nothing in them. They're just being wasted. And so that's what the Matoba clan would do with this place. They just waste it. So, I mean, I don't know who else would buy this mansion, but he's like, well, aren't you here to stop the other exorcists from finding the study? I like that Natori kind of does the same thing that Madara does, where he opens one eye. He keeps one eye open on her. I love that. And then she's like, no, we're just looking around. Oh, by the way, where's Natsume? And he's like, what? Never heard of him. And she's like, well, he could enjoy himself a lot more if he came with us. And Natori's like, yeah, no. I love that Natsume is like in this tug of war contest between the Matoba clan and Natori. Natori's trying to protect him. The Matoba clan wants to enroll him and recruit him. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, Natsume's 16. Leave him alone. Let the Fujiwaras have him and y'all just go away. So they keep looking around for pictures and everything. And Beniko tells him about the maple tree. When I was young, he knew I liked maples, so he planted it immediately. And I was so happy. He says, but whenever I met him, all he did was happily talk about the yokai that I couldn't see. And we all wanted to distance ourselves. And she's like, I hate this mansion. I'll be glad when it's gone. And Hiragi asks if Natsume's okay. And he's like, oh no, it's just been a while since I came across someone who hates the fact that people can see yokai. He's like, I'm used to it. Being able to see them sometimes means that others won't accept you. And when someone says something like that, it doesn't make me scared like it used to. I'm like, oh, good. The growth for Natsume. Natsume's like, yeah, I've actually got a good support network. I got people that are cool with me seeing yokai. So I forget that there was a time when I was afraid about people knowing that I could see yokai, but I'm a lot better with it now. So good for Natsume and his growth, right? And then he's like, I thought of something that maybe if we could find a photo. It's just sad that the exorcist like wanted his family to come around and instead they distanced. That's really sad. So yeah, so they find the photo. They managed to find the photograph and they're like, maybe we could look, you know, and see if we can use this photo to find the familiars. And Natsume's talking, saying he was strange and always alone, so there's no information about him. He's just like Reiko. No, the only thing Reiko left behind was the Book of Friends. He's like, but there are still things left here that were important to Hakozaki. I should be able to find something. There must be a place where Reiko lived. I love that. I love Natsume being like, look, Reiko had to end up somewhere. She clearly was with someone. Now, we learned from the manga that apparently she did not get married. She had some relationship with someone and then had their daughter. So it could be that she ran into this exorcist. Maybe the exorcist died before she had the daughter. I don't know. I don't know. Mysteries, mysteries, mysteries. But yeah, he's like, my relatives don't want to tell me, but someday I'll be able to go there. I love that Natsume wants to go where Reiko lived, because it's kind of like him going back to his house. He wants to know that there was a place that was theirs, where they belonged, that they called home, and that they were able to have that peace of mind in that place, because your home really is where you can be most peaceful. It should be that way, that your home is where, you know, you're the most comfortable. So I hope Natsume can find that just like his old house. I really do. But yeah, so then we have episode 11, right? Then we have episode 11, where we had the one yokai spilled the beans about the Book of Friends, and then we found out Natori learned about it. And I'm glad that it happened like it did in this episode, where Natsume's like, look, I'll tell you about the Book of Friends. I'll spill everything. But let's get through this first. I was like, oh, thank God. And I'm glad that Matoba Clan doesn't know about the Book of Friends yet, which I'm glad that he was able to tell Natori while none of the exorcists were around to hear. So that's good. But man, all the people just throwing everything out of the mansion, it's really sad. And Beniko is just like walking around watching them trash the place. His family grew distant from him, and after his death, they didn't know where the study was. And I just feel like she's just watching everything happening, Beniko is, and is like just seeing how greedy they are and being like, was my grandfather part of this world? Like, what the heck is happening? I feel for her. I really do. So Natori tells him that Nanase is there, saying we need to find the study before things get complicated. And then Madara's like, well, you're up against this weirdo spell researcher, so what if the room is filled with yokai that he captured and did mad experiments on? I love Madara! There's the Full Metal Alchemist door of truth behind him. And then you see, like, all of these dragons, like these three-headed hydra. And then you see this, like, dark-haired man with, like, the mustache. And you see, like, in the jar, there's a homunculus. And then there's also, like, Cell from Dragon Ball Z. Hilarious. A cursed place filled with evil. Oh my God. And Natori's like, yeah, there's probably 50-50 odds of that. I love it. So he's like, well, it is filled with research notes, right? And he's like, yeah, but nobody knows for sure. And he's like, come on, Natori-san. He's like, calm down, Natsume. So then this guy from the Matoba clan shows up, because he was at the mansion. Maybe he's not with the Matoba clan, but he's one of the exorcists that showed up. And that's when we get the whole Nutmeg as his familiar. Nutmeg is a pet name. Dear God, the fan fiction I want to read after this episode. Yes, his name is Nutmeg. It sounds like a horse name. And I love Madara being like, Madara's like, ooh, and you can't see Hiragi's expression, but you know, she's just like, what do we do with this? I live, a classy name indeed. And Dory's like, you know, there might be a hidden spell or something that's keeping the door from being found. So, I love it. I love that Natori's like, is something bothering you, Nutmeg? Madara's like, is something wrong, Nutmeg? And Hiragi's like, are you okay, Nutmeg? Like, they just tease him. It's so cute. That's why I love... See, here's the thing. Tanuma would not tease Natsume. Tanuma would, like, pour him tea and bake him cookies. Natori kind of ribs him, and while also wanting to take care of him. And I'm kind of like, okay, I like that dynamic. I like that relationship. It's great. Mm-hmm. And so... Natsume, being the calm and kind and empathetic person that he is like, maybe there's a photo or diary that would connect to his familiars. And, you know, he grew that maple tree for his granddaughter. If it were me, I'd want to be in a room where I could see the tree, and that would be where I'd keep the secrets. So they go through all the rooms, And then I love the idea of going through a ransacked room where the people ignored the most common under the nose clues. And that's when Natsume finds the box with the maple designs. And there's the picture inside of him with his wife. And it looks like his granddaughter or his son, one of the two, the granddaughter or the son. But I think it's I think it's his daughter because she kind of looks like the older woman. And there's another man there, like maybe that's his dad, or there was a brother, and then there's the granddaughter. So yeah, I love that. I like the idea also that no matter how strange and unusual you are, there is a chance that you can find somebody for you. I like that. You know, Natsume kind of, I think Natsume wants to know more about Reiko and her husband, or not her husband, but Reiko and his grandfather, because he wants to know that it's possible to find love with someone despite being able to see the yokai, to find that connection, right? I say her husband, but we know from the manga that she wasn't married. It's just his grandfather. The guy with the awkward smile. Yeah. And so in the wallpaper design, there are two dragons. I also like the confirmation that Natori's powers are not as strong as Natsume's, because Natsume can clearly see the dragons in the picture and Natori cannot. So they're like, we need to find something with a dragon object. But the picture that Natsume has is what allows him to find the dragon, because the dragon is drawn to the picture. He's like, was the owner a nice man? A part of me hopes that he was, while a part of me wondered if someone like that was all alone in this huge mansion staring at the maple tree. So they can't find anything, but Hiragi tells Natori that, or Natori's like, is it okay for me to hear it? And Hiragi's like, I think it's better than trying to find out in secret. I like that Hiragi's like, look, he's offered to tell you, it's better than having us research for you. Just hear him out, get the words straight from the horse's mouth, and let's go. Get it straight from Nutmeg's mouth, and let's go. And Natori says, I wish I were stronger. That's what I love about Natori, is he is aware of his flaws. He's aware that he can be cowardly, and Natsume is kind of fearless and bold and kind, and Natori's like, I wish I could be strong enough to be that way too. Which it comes into play with him wanting to burn the book. And Hiragi's, I love that Hiragi like looks at Natori like, before you wouldn't have cared to be stronger, but now you want to be because of your relationship with Natsume. I love it. It's so good. He's like, all this talk of Nutmeg makes me want a Salisbury steak. So let's finish this up. So we have Nanase's group go to the north side, and they're going to try to get to the one entrance, right? Meanwhile, this had a very Ready Player One feel to it in this moment. He goes past the door and discovers the presence changing, and there's the dragon door, the entrance. This felt so labyrinth. It felt so labyrinth. I loved it. Yes. And Natori and them show up as we get the dragon relief, and we get the familiar, you found me, coward. You have something with my master's smell, don't you? And he's like, yeah, this picture maybe. I found out I was going to give it to the granddaughter. Also, Natsume, conflict resolution champion. Natori starts to get riled up and starts to get demanding of the dragon familiar, which you don't do. But Natsume doesn't ever raise his voice. He doesn't get mad. He doesn't get desperate. He's just like, look, you don't have to show us the door, but we're not, we're just trying to figure out where the documents are so we can get out of here so that someone else can inherit the mansion. Like, he calmly talks through the situation, which is what you should do. And something else, it felt like the dragon yokai, the dragon familiars really liked the old man. Like, they really enjoyed it. They liked him, and they're sad that he's died. And I love that we get that side of it. He's like, are you Hakozaki's familiar? And he's like, yeah, I'm one of the two. Indeed. And Natsume's like, well, I'm looking for a study where he keeps all his research notes. Can you tell me where it is? And I like that the dragon's like, yeah, you ignored him for so long, and so now you're just coming to reap the benefits of his work. Which means that he didn't have a lot of humans visiting him. It was mostly yokai. Not even a lot of the exorcists visited him, which is interesting. And he's like, well, we're not, and Natori tries to be like, well, we're not going to do anything bad with it. And the dragon's like, psh, I don't believe you. You're an exorcist. Why would I tell you? And then Natsume says, well, you said after ignoring him for so long. Does that mean he was lonely here? And that's a question I don't think the dragon was expecting to hear, you know? And the question is, was he lonely? Or did he like the company of the yokai? And if he liked the company of the yokai, how does it affect his answer? He's like, well, don't be stupid. Night and day, he would gather us yokai and celebrate. Which feels very much like something Natsume back in season 3 would have done. Except not like this. He says he would summon the most powerful yokai, cheat them in games, and force them to give him incredible amounts of sake. And I'm like, oh. He would use new techniques to summon funny and entertaining yokai and dance with them. Which sounds interesting, because it sounds like, you know, Reiko, she would force the yokai to challenge her, and she'd beat them, and then she would take their names. And here, he's like, he would summon funny and entertaining yokai and dance with them, and he'd cheat them at games and force them to hang out with him. So it seems like they're kind of birds of a feather in a sense. And I'm like, this is interesting. So, okay. And there's the gold and the blue dragon. But yeah. And sometimes he'd fill the mansion with cherry blossoms. It also kind of sounds like, you know, Madara would be right up in this alley. Madara would be all about this place. Sake, games, cherry blossoms. He'd make us familiars clean up while he laughed heartily. And it was fun for us. I love Natori watching as well. And Madara watching too. Yes. I love it. And then Natsume kind of seems sad there. He's like, no matter the noise we made, and no matter the fun that we yokai thought that we had, at the end of the day, whenever there was a noise at the front door, he would fly to it immediately. So it almost seems like the master of the mansion was waiting on human interaction and was just filling the void with the yokai since he could see them. And the yokai were enjoying it, but they weren't building that connection that the master wanted with humans. Which again is why Natsume is so different than him. And why, you know, it'd be sad if you would be like, oh, well, that sounds just like Natsume, but it really doesn't. But there are a lot of connections to how Natsume was in the past, right? And he would crouch low and stare from the window towards the gate. And when no one was there, he would sigh and stand up. And he'd stare at the leaves as they changed colors and say, she's not coming this year either. And he'd laugh and close his eyes. Which means he really loved his granddaughter, and he was sad when she didn't come to visit him. And I hate that idea. I feel like there's that idea of losing connections or severing connections. Like Natsume, Natori's like, don't sever your connections with these people. Savor them because it's all you have. And now we kind of see in action, like, if he had severed the connections with Taki and Tanama and, you know, Kishimoto and Nishimura, then he may have grown up being like Reiko and not ever been able to have those connections again. After all that, I won't let you pass. And so Natsume and them's like, he's like, is this the door to the study? And I love that Natsume reaches out and empathizes and connects with the yokai. Rather than being mad, rather than turning away, he turns towards the yokai, and Natori's like, that was an option? And he's like, this home will be sold before long. So I want to give what was important to Hakazaki-san as someone who will care for it. Will you let me into the study? And the yokai's like, you're the nicest person I've ever met, but no, I'm not I was taking my anger out on you, so I'm sorry. It's been a while since I've talked to a human, but there are good and bad things inside. And my master's wish was for it to remain sealed. There's an important aspect about that because the master wanted the room to remain sealed because he didn't want anybody to get their hands on what he'd researched. And I think that's important. With Reiko, she had the Book of Friends. She kept the Book of Friends. So clearly, I think she wanted it to be passed down to her grandson, but we don't know the full story. And he's like, okay. And then Natori's like, well, but if we don't get it, Matoba or some of the other exorcists will get it. And he's like, if you fear they'll be misused, we'll give them to us. And the dragon's like, no, we're just gonna burn it all. We just wanted to sleep here with the memories of our master. And if anyone would try to steal it, we wouldn't have regrets. We'll take it all with us. And Natori, I love how, like, Natori looks so mad and frustrated, like, you'll just burn it all up and no one will get it. But Natsume's like, okay, cool. Natsume's like, good. If nobody can have it, at least that's what the master wanted. So bye. And Natori's like, but that's such a waste. And Natsume's like, but it's not our business. It's a dead man's research. He didn't want anybody to have it. Not our business. I love it. I love it. As a reward for being the first to find me at the front entrance, I like that he says, if anything happens to be remaining, you can use it however you like. And I love Natsume's like, cool, great. Well, if anything's left, we'll take it. And Natori's mad, but Natsume's like, that's just the way it is. We have to respect the yokai. You heard him. He's like, if nothing else, I think he knows his master's wishes better than anyone. I love Natsume for this. I love it. I love him getting Natori to be like, look, it's not our business. It's his. So let's respect his wishes. And then he says, it wasn't my imagination that I was reminded of old times. I have seen your face before, child. And he's like, oh, it's probably my grandmother. He's like, did you know Reiko-san? And he says, no, it was a man. I once met a man a long time ago who looked much like you. Oh, bitch. Oh, bitch. And he's like, a man. Uh-huh. A long time ago. Yeah. So he probably met Natsume's grandfather. I want to know all the things. Why did he not marry Reiko? Who was he? Was he an exorcist? What's going on? All the things. I need to know all the things. I need to know. And of course, Madara's like, he's like, okay, they found Kanegumo, who protects the rear entrance. They're trying to open it by force. If they try to steal it, we shall take it with us first. Farewell. That was so epic when he like jumps away and Natsume like reaches out for him. So freaking epic. And Natsume just wanted to know more about his grandfather. He just wanted to know more. So apparently whoever had this mansion was an exorcist at one time, or a researcher of yokai spells at the very least, kind of like Taki's grandfather, and he knew Natsume's grandfather. Okay, or had met him at some time. Okay, maybe Natsume's grandfather was like him. I don't know. But yeah, of course, Nanase and them try to get it by force. It just made me so mad. And it seems like, I don't think Beniko can see what's going on. Yeah, she can't see it on fire, but everyone else can. And Nanase is like, well, shit, they took it all with them. The fire of a yokai. What's burning is all the spells. The cursed yokai, they took it all with them. I love it. And the dragons were like, peace out, Girl Scout. We did our mission. See ya. And I like Natsume's happy. He's like, okay. I was like, the wishes of the guy that owned the manor was fulfilled. All right. But yeah, I like Natsume's happy about it. And then Amiya's like, well, this was a bust. And so Natori stays behind and then as he stays behind, Natsume, I like it that he whispers, he's like, hey, I picked these up off the ground. They might be useful. And it says like a wind water circle. He's like, is it okay for us to take them? And Tori's like, hurry up, let's get all these together. And they managed to find a good little haul. They found like a couple booklets and everything. So cool. So he's like, these are actually going to be useful. All right. He's like, thanks, Natsume. And Natsume's like, see, the dragons kept their word. They gave us the remains and we were able to take them. So see, it all worked out. I love this episode so much. And so Natsume tells Natori about Reiko and the Book of Friends. I love it with the blue fire. I love that we had that tie back to Aoi a few episodes ago with the blue flame. And so he's like, let me tell you about, she wasn't easy to get along with and she picked fights with yokai all the time. And she began to challenge them and she'd write their names of the yokai she defeated onto pieces of paper. And he's like, I told Natori-san about the Book of Friends. and about my grandmother. And that, whether deliberately or by chance, it was forbidden magic. And that I was the only one who could return the names. And Natori, of course, is like, you know, Natori wishes he were stronger and realizes in this moment how strong Natsume is to be able to do something like this. And he's like, oh my God, like, you have been doing this all by yourself. Hello. And he's like, you know, he realizes how strong Natsume is, but he also worries for him. And I like that Madara keeps his eyes on Natori, like, okay, what are we thinking? Madara does not trust Natori at all, but he's letting Natsume figure this out for himself. And he's like, an interesting name, the Book of Friends, huh? You were carrying a terrible burden all by yourself. And Natsume's like, well, that's not actually true. And Natsume doesn't say it, but he's made friends with the yokai, and he's made friends with Taki and the others. He's like, so I've not been by myself. He's like, and we see not only the yokai over the past 6 seasons that have helped him, but we also see the humans too. So Natsume's like, I've not had this burden alone. I've, you know, had people supporting me, and they've helped me carry this burden. I don't know. I don't think he says that out loud, which I kind of wish he would have, so that Natori could have heard him, but such a good episode. And so Natsume views the Book of Friends like, you know, this is no big deal. I have friends to help me. And I like that, you know, Madara is like jumping around trying to get at the ashes and everything. And then Natori, meanwhile, he's like, something that dangerous should be burned. But I don't think Natori's going to be able to burn the book, because that would kill off Hinoue and Madara and the others. I think that, you know, Natori went from saying Natsume shouldn't have this at all to being like, okay, Natsume has this, to being like, oh, well, we should destroy it so he can't have it anymore. I don't think they're going to burn the Book of Friends, but I think there is that threat there now that Natori might get an idea to and have to be stopped, or the Matoba clan, he might be like, if they get a hold of it, you know, are they going to understand? He's like, oh, it's nothing. So our search for that ended. The strange flame surrounding the mansion burned out without damaging it, likely burning only the study that no one ever got to see. I'm glad that Beniko got the picture of her grandfather. I'm glad that that survived and was able to be given to her. I thought we'd get into more of an argument about the Book of Friends. And Madara's like, yeah, just make sure his shady smile doesn't trick you. He's like, I don't trust him. I love it. I love the half moon there. He's like, what do you mean? And Madara's like, well, I mean, Madara's like, you'll figure it out for yourself, you know? And then Natsume's like, there's one thing I'm curious about. The man that looked like me. He's like, was it my father? It was probably my grandfather. How did they know my grandfather? And then Madara conveniently breaks up his train of thought, saying, I'm hungry, get me food, I'm starving, before he can think any more about his grandfather. I don't know. I think Madara was one of his familiars and isn't wanting to talk about it, but who knows? Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, he's like, I'll race you to the fried shrimp. And then, yeah, he goes home and he's like, I found myself exchanging smiles with others. And he's like, in the memories in the Book of Friends, Reiko's always alone, standing tall. But did you ever get to exchange smiles with someone? With the people that you cared about? I feel like she did. At least with the man that's the father of Natsume's mom. I feel like maybe she did with him. I don't know. But I feel like maybe she did, right? And we just have to wait and see and find out about that. But I like the ED a lot, but I like that we had like all these moments. I thought it tied really good with that, with Natsume being like, did you get to share these moments with people that you cared about and smile with them? And then the ED is all him with people that make him smile. And I thought that was really sweet. I thought that was a perfect ending to this. This season 6, y'all, was amazing. I loved this season. I felt like season 5 was all about Natsume realizing the dangers associated with the Book of Friends and about coming to terms with that he's going to have to like make some decisions regarding that. And I felt like this season was all about him making those decisions and growing as an individual, and kind of this season felt like he was coming to peace with him and his decisions about yokai and humans and exorcists in the Book of Friends, and now moving on to learn about his family and trying to gain more insight. Y'all, this season was amazing. This series gets better and better. And then there's Madara having the party on the rooftop with all the yokai that feels a lot like the man in the mansion. So what do we do? And then there's the Book of Friends that looks a little bit thinner than usual. But yeah, this season was amazing. Oh, and I talked for nearly an hour about this episode set, but it deserved being talked about for an hour, honestly. This was a fantastic season, and I absolutely loved it. And I'm so excited to get into season 7, but I'm glad we have some weeks before that happens, because I'm not ready to be caught up with this series at all. I'm not ready. Nope, I'm not ready at all. So, anyway, as far as that goes, I am very excited to get into the OVA next week. We will get OVA 1 and Volume 17, and then I have to wait till after OVA 2 is over before I can go any further. So, yes, but we're going to talk about Volume 17 next week, and then after the OVAs, I can talk about Volume 18, and possibly 19, but I'll double check back in with y'all about that. So I'm excited for these OVAs. I hope you all are as well, but this was an amazing season finale. It's been my favorite so far. I love this. And now I'm going to be thinking about Natori and Natsume for a while. So anyway, I know I've been talking forever. I hope you all, if you're still listening, have some comments down below of what you thought about this season finale. Amazing. But I will be back next week with the first OVA and Volume 17's review of Natsume's Book of Friends. And I will see you all there. So have a great week. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you all then.